This video contains spoilers from the Scream, 1996, movie. The film opens with young Casey Becker receiving calls from an unidentified caller. At first maybe he has gotten an off-base number, yet it before long turns out to be clear he is playing with her, and his voice gets increasingly compromising. Casey becomes scared when she understands her caller can see her. She starts to overreact when the caller takes steps to kill her, and powers her to answer film random data in return for her life and the existence of her boyfriend, Steve, who she sees restricted on her back deck. In the wake of killing Steve, the caller tortures Casey until at last breaking into the house and pursuing her. He is wearing a dark outfit with a white phantom cover over his face. He pursues her across her grass similarly as her folks pull up into the carport. They don't see her, and Casey is wounded in the chest, unfit to scream. Subsequent to killing Casey, the murderer strings up her body in the backyard for the guardians to find. We then meet Sydney Prescott and her boyfriend Billy Loomis. Billy slips into her bedroom window and endeavors to have intercourse with her, yet Sydney is uncertain and needs to stay a virgin for the present. They are nearly found by Sydney's dad, Neil, and he comes into Sydney's space to talk about the way that he is leaving town. We discover that Sydney's mom was killed right around 1 year prior, and that Sydney and her dad are separated from everyone else. The following day, Sydney's school is buzzing with fresh insight about the murder, and classes are briefly dropped. Sydney concludes that since her dad is gone and she is distant from everyone else, she will remain with her dearest companion Tatum. Sydney, Tatum, and Billy sit with their gathering of companions, which incorporates Randy, who is fixated on blood and gore flicks, and Stu, a class comedian type who used to date Casey Becker. Sydney returns home to trust that Tatum will get her. The telephone rings and she hears a peculiar voice, the very one that was on the telephone with Casey. At first she thinks it is Randy messed around, however the caller turns oppressive and raises Sydney's mom. "Do you want to bite the dust, Sydney? Your mom sure didn't." The executioner rises up out of a storeroom in Sydney's home and a pursuit begins all through the house and Sydney secures herself in her bedroom and dials 911. Then, at that point, Billy shows up, moving through Sydney's window once more, and a phone drops out of his pocket. Sydney understands that it might have been him calling her and she runs down steps and out of the house just to be welcomed by the police. She is taken to the police headquarters alongside Billy, where he is addressed. At the police headquarters, Sydney meets Dewey, Tatum's more established sibling and the town representative, who is viewed as an imbecile. Outside the police headquarters, she is gone up against by intrusive correspondent Gail Klimetz, the essayist of an uncover about the murder of Sydney's mom. Gail feels that Cotton Tired was improperly sentenced, and presently Gail is following up a tale about the murder of Casey Becker. She feels the murders are associated. Tatum takes Sydney to her home, where she receives another call from the executioner, who tells her, "You got some unacceptable person, Sydney." Again. The following day at school, Sydney is compromised by the executioner while she is in the restroom, however she gets away. School is finished and a check-in time is set up, so the gathering of companions choose to set up a party. Gail Klimetz takes a cameraman to the party trying to converse with Sydney, however Dewey captures her. Both of them talk and appear to have a shared love for each other. They enter the party and Dewey decides not to bust the partygoers for underage drinking. During the party Billy and Sydney go higher up and Sydney has intercourse with him. In the meantime, Tatum is murdered in the carport by the executioner, who hosts penetrated the gathering all things considered. After the recess among Sydney and Billy, the entryway opens and in strolls the executioner, who betrays Billy. Another pursuit begins. Sydney winds up in the house confronting Randy and Stu, both guaranteeing the other is the executioner. Stu is competing to come inside and acquire the weapon, while Randy needs to leave. In the long run Billy staggers down the steps, bloodied, and gives Randy and Stu access to the house, shooting Randy and going to uncover that the blood is phony. Billy was just claiming to be cut. He was supported by his assistant, Stu. The two of them are the executioners. Billy additionally uncovers that he was liable for killing Sydney's mom, who took part in an extramarital entanglements with his dad. Billy accused Mrs. Prescott for the disintegration of his folks' marriage, and murdered Mrs. Prescott out of retribution. Billy and Stu likewise uncover that they have grabbed Mr. Prescott, who is restricted in a storage room. They have outlined Mr. Prescott for the murders, and mean to twisted themselves to make maybe Mr. Prescott went after them. So, all in all they will kill both him and Sydney. Billy and Stu incur non-lethal injuries on each other with the blade, however they are intruded on by Gail Klimetz, who returns, furnished with Dewey's weapon. Gail neglects to turn off the firearms security, and a battle results. Sydney strikes back at her victimizers, killing Stu with a TV and shooting Billy in the head with a weapon. Dewey is uncovered to be alive, as is Randy. All closure as well as Storm reports that the Mache house has been the location of what appeared to be some genuine frightening film. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss my next video. You can suggest movies in comments and I might make a video about them.